and welcome to Stingray Tom's Florida and another deeper dive into the archive. Today I've pulled out a remarkable book from the archive. Published in 1936, it's a book of photography. Titled Florida from the Air, it was created by the Aero-Graphics Corporation, a company that, not surprisingly, did aerial photography, and was located in Louisville, Kentucky and Vero Beach. There's a company with a similar name today that does much the same work, but it was founded in the 1960s and so is not connected. Florida from the Air was created in conjunction with Eastern Airlines, one of the earliest and most important American airlines, having been organized in 1926 by famed World War I pilot Eddie Rickenbacker. The book contains about 150 aerial photos outlined in 3 trips, down the Atlantic coast, up the Gulf Coast, and through the center of the state from Clewiston up to Tallahassee, yet somehow missing Lake Okeechobee. Still, the massive lake is probably the only significant part of the state not shown in the book. While there's a heavy focus on human development such as tourism, farming, and industry, the natural areas haven't been left out. The book begins by talking about Eastern Airlines, and there are photos of the company's primary passenger aircraft at the time interspersed throughout. It's the Douglas DC-2, the immediate predecessor of the famous DC-3. The DC-2 carried 14 passengers and did so while keeping them comfortable and safe. Eastern employed 14 of them between 1934 and 1941. Note the passengers in this photo, which isn't from the book. Men in suits, people smoking cigarettes, and no one belted in. By the way, if you look closely, you'll see the cigarettes aren't lit. I'm guessing that was the photographer's request to avoid that inevitable haze that filled every aircraft until the year 2000, when smoking was finally banned on U.S. flights. In this video, I'll go through each page of half the book and compare the photos with corresponding Google Map images. Many of the buildings shown in 1936 are still around today, and of course the natural features show little change. The narration, taken directly from the book, provides lots of information, though I've added a few notes and photos. I've tried to recreate the style of a 1930s movie travelogue. I think that you'll find that the text begs for that interpretation. And no artificial intelligence was used. Today we're heading from Jacksonville down to Miami. The weather is clear, our cruising speed will be 170 knots, and we're flying low enough to enjoy the sights on the east coast of the Sunshine State. Enjoy the views from the air and be sure to wave to the sun worshippers on the beaches. Florida, an intriguing land of sunshine, swaying palms, and beautiful waters, set aside from the rest of our states as though it were a separate world unto itself, and yet so fundamentally a part of our own union. To travel it by land is to visit a tropical paradise of never-ending beauties, to cover its thousands of mile shorelines, its wide expanses of Everglades, grovelands, gigantic forests, and natural wonders by airplane is to be one of nature's chosen few who are privileged to view so magnificent a spectacle at its best. The purpose of this booklet is to give you a few intimate glimpses of interesting things throughout the state as seen from the air through the eyes of the aerial camera. It is impossible in this short space to include every point of interest in so large a state, or to reproduce photographs that will cover every phase of its varied industries, recreations, and natural beauties. We are attempting only to picture the outstanding spots that are encountered in a flight over several thousand miles of Florida's coastlines and interior. This flight, which is divided into 3 separate flight lines, includes the Atlantic coast with all its playgrounds and historical points from Jacksonville to Miami via Eastern Airlines. Following which, we fly with one of Aero-Graphics Corporation's photographic ships over the Florida Keys to Key West, turning northward to see the heart of the Everglades, and then swinging out to the Gulf of Mexico to continue the second leg of our flight around the entire length of Florida's west coast. A rather jagged flight line out of Vero Beach into the capital of Tallahassee takes us through some wealthy agricultural, industrial, and timbered lands. All of which makes us realize just how unselfish nature has been in her gifts to the wonderful land that is Florida. Converging at Jacksonville, the vast air transport system of our country, spread net-like over all of North America by Eastern Airlines and connecting lines, brings Florida to within a few hours of the nation's doorsteps. And whether we happen to be in New York, Chicago, New Orleans, or Washington at breakfast time, we may enjoy our dinner under the tropical skies of Palm Beach or Miami. This seeming miracle is an everyday occurrence in the lives of many people who use the airline's up-to-date mode of travel for their every convenience. And to these particular and exacting travelers who demand the ultimate in speed, comfort, and safety, the Eastern Airlines have devoted their vast resources. Their resulting 25 million miles of air travel experience, which is added to at the rate of more than 18.5 million miles daily, is the enviable record which assures the prospective air traveler of the finest and most economical transportation service that the country affords. The time-saving element in flying is an all-important consideration to the businessman or woman who must make every hour count. But time alone isn't the only advantage to be gained by going by air. The sheer beauty of the country as seen from this new angle, the exhilaration and thrill that comes from speeding through space, and the feeling of cleanliness resulting from the cool, dust-free air of higher altitude are all factors which make this the most pleasant and practical way to travel. So we invite you to join us on our pictorial trip over Florida in order that you too may see these beauties and learn for yourself the thrills, comforts, and joys of flying with Eastern Airlines. Our flight begins at the splendid Jacksonville Municipal Airport, where we board an Eastern Airlines plane for our trip down the east coast of Florida to Miami. This airport, which is the main port of entry into the state of Florida for ships from the north, east, and west, clears thousands of passengers and many tons of airmail annually. The St. Johns River, which empties into the Atlantic Ocean 20 miles east of Jacksonville, offers a picturesque approach to this bustling city. Ships carrying cargoes and passengers to and from all parts of the world enter this natural harbor daily, lending an air of importance to the landscape that cannot be rivaled elsewhere in Florida. What a contrast this modern airplane view presents to the picture that greeted the eyes of Jean Ribault when he sailed up the St. John's with his little band of Huguenots in 1562. As our ship swings southward from Jacksonville, we find our attention drawn to the hundreds of summer cottages and resorts which are dotted along the sandy stretches of the Atlantic at Jacksonville Beach. The beach at this point is 600 feet wide during low tide and presents an ideal spot for bathing, motoring, or even landing an airplane. Here we will find casinos, boardwalks, midway amusements, and piers containing beautiful ballrooms for dancing, all of which help to make Jacksonville Beach the most popular resort colony in this section of the state. The oldest city in the United States presents an unusual spectacle from the air. Its narrow streets, old houses, and imposing cathedrals create an impression that we are flying over another world. On this spot, Don Juan Ponce de Leon landed in 1513 and here ended his famous search for the eternal fountain of youth. Our imagination runs riot as we gaze down into the interior of grim old Fort San Marco, its gray walls and deep moats an impregnable defense against enemies of other years. Today, a well-preserved medieval monument to the progress of man. splendidly inadequate as a defense towards the modern machines of war. This fort, now called Fort Marion, is the only well-preserved example of its kind remaining in the United States. But we must not be misled by our bird's-eye impression, for under us lies a modern and progressive city of today. A city blessed with a semi-tropical climate, wide expanses of sandy beaches, and all kinds of thrills for the sportsman in every walk of life. The most perfect beach in the world stretches for a distance of 23 miles directly past the front doors of these two beautiful hotels. 500 feet wide and packed to concrete-like hardness and smoothness by the tides of the Atlantic twice daily, this sandy stretch has attained worldwide fame as a motorist's paradise. Situated directly on this famous beach and surrounded by splendid golf courses, lovely estates, and the deep blue waters of the Atlantic, the Coquino and Clarendon hotels present a picture of harmony that tempts us to land and spend some time with them. Here indeed is the setting for a perfect vacation. The Daytona Beach Municipal Airport is our first stop out of Jacksonville, and here we find every desirable convenience for ship and personnel. In keeping with the progress of Florida, this is another of the state's splendid airports that has hard surface runways, complete servicing facilities, and a cordial welcome for all those who travel the air lanes. For many years, the natural speedway of Daytona Beach has attracted the automobile racing drivers of the world. Speed records have been made and broken annually on this famous 23-mile sandy straightaway, where enactments of drama, tragedy, and comedy have brought fame and fortune, or failure, to the names that have made racing history. Daytona Beach is essentially a resort and tourist town, and in order to provide an adequate recreational center for the many visitors who enter her portals, the city has built up an island in the Halifax River, known as the City Island Playground. Here one will find shuffleboard, lawn bowling, and the many other games so popular with tourists. At Melbourne, halfway between Jacksonville and Miami and extending from Indian River to the ocean, we fly across an extensive development known as India Atlantic. This attractive colony, with its fine India Atlantic Hotel and bathing casino, is a popular resort with visitors from the east. The Indian River runs parallel to the shoreline of the Atlantic Ocean for a distance of 165 miles down the east coast of Florida, and is separated from it by only a few yards and spots. This natural inland waterway, miles wide in places, makes possible Melbourne's annual sailboat races and regattas, which are the featured attractions of her winter seasons. Orchid Grove, situated on an island between Indian River and the Atlantic Ocean, opposite Wabasso, Florida, is the property of the Deerfield Grove Company. This grove has the reputation of producing some of the finest grapefruit in Florida, if not the world. It is on land similar to the above, both on the east and west coasts of Florida, where the world's finest grapefruit is produced. The fruit from the above grove is shipped to northern markets by the American Fruit Growers Incorporated under the famous Blue Goose trademark. The traveler who flies over Florida for the first time will be amazed at the thousands of fine homes and estates that are to be seen from the air. Homes that are oftentimes invisible from the ground because of their location and the profusion of trees and plants around them. But here we have spotted one of those terrestrial estates, in its natural surroundings of royal palms and brilliantly colored flowers. A modern home in the heart of a tropical paradise. Vero Beach, situated in the heart of the Indian River country, is undoubtedly destined to be one of Florida's most outstanding cities. The friendly hospitality and progressive spirit of its people, plus the advantages of its geographic location and natural resources, guide its future to certain fame. Here one will find all the recreational attractions for which Florida is noted, as well as stable and serious economic enterprises that assure the healthy growth of any permanent community. With frontage on the beautiful Indian River and the Atlantic Ocean, and with a backcountry which makes it the shipping center for vegetables, timber products, and the world's finest citrus fruits, this thriving little city enjoys a rare combination of advantages which makes it typified Florida at its best. To your future, Vero Beach! Florida's fine all-year-round weather inspires indulgence in all types of outdoor sports, and here we see a splendid park of shuffleboard, bowling and tennis courts, swings and teeters, baseball diamond and horseshoe courts, even a miniature zoo, wading pool for the kiddies, and a modern recreation building where bridge parties and dances are provided for the entertainment of townspeople and visitors. All of this is under the splendid supervision of the Chamber of Commerce, whose every thought is for the comfort and pleasure of citizens and guests of the community. Vero Beach is a regular stopping point between Jacksonville and Miami for Eastern Airlines passenger planes, and is the distributing point for all airmail between Palm Beach and Daytona Beach. These facts, coupled with the courteous and complete service available to all private ships, makes this landing field one of the most popular in the state. Under the competent management of Bud Holman, the Vero Beach Airport is a welcome haven to flyers from all parts of the country. In flying over Vero Beach, we get an intimate glimpse of one of Florida's most attractive and hospitable hotels, the Vero del Mar. Situated in the very heart of the city and surrounded by spacious lawns, stately palms, and colorful flower gardens, this popular spot is home to the many people who visit it each year. Here one will find the atmosphere of friendliness and congeniality which so typifies the people of this community. The Aero-Graphics Corporation, with branch headquarters at Vero Beach, directs its extensive aerial photographic missions from this point each winter. Fronting the Atlantic Ocean and extending westward to the Indian River is a beautiful residential development of fine homes. The Rio Mar Club, with its modern clubhouse, individual cabanas, and 9-hole golf course, is located in the center of this area and provides a picturesque setting for this winter colony. Churches in almost every denomination are to be found in Vero Beach, but this enchanting little edifice is distinctive of the fact that it recognizes all creeds and is in truth a community church. Ocean bathing is one of Florida's major year-round sports, and there's no finer beach for this purpose on the East Coast than one over which we are now flying. The Beachland Apartments, an American plan apartment hotel and the only place offering year-round accommodations directly on the ocean front between Daytona Beach and Palm Beach, also offers its guests a large outdoor swimming pool where they may try out a few fancy dives. Nothing is lacking in this ideal spot that would lend enchantment to a perfect vacation. Neither words nor pictures can describe the loveliness of this internationally famous jungle garden, which has been converted by man into a veritable paradise of living beauty. Formerly an impenetrable jungle, this 80-acre tract has been transformed into an exotic wonderland of rare plant and animal life that seems to take us into another part of the world. Its inviting shaded paths, winding through nearly every known species of tree and plant, lead us into realms that we never knew existed. Here is the outstanding spot, worthy of our attention, one that will remain in our memories forever. Engineering genius and infinite perseverance have made the Fort Pierce Inlet and Harbor adequate passageways for large freighters that ply the Atlantic. Consequently, the city of Fort Pierce is rapidly becoming one of the important shipping centers on the East Coast. Fresh fruits and vegetables from Florida's productive soils are stored in the modern plant of the Indian River Refrigeration Terminal to await the arrival of refrigerated steamers that will transport them to the markets of the world. The Casa Caprona, set apart from the noise and congestion of city traffic, affords the city of Fort Pierce its most luxuriant and outstanding apartment building. With its private swimming pool, handsomely furnished spacious apartments, and unusual architectural design, this modern building is in keeping with the progress of its surroundings. Gasoline and motor oils for our planes and cars are items so commonplace in our everyday lives that we seldomly give thought to the extensiveness and efficiency of the systems which make them available to us. This particular distributing plant, but one of 100 similar bases scattered throughout the state, serves the Fort Pierce area. Florida has more diversified agriculture than any other state in the Union. This lies in the fact that her mild winter temperatures, soils that are rich in phosphates and life-giving minerals, make possible the year-round cultivation of her extensive plant-producing lands. Whereas the farmers in other sections of the country are limited to one crop each season, Florida's vegetable tracts may yield as high as 4 entirely different crops during the year. Aside from the citrus fruits, which are the state's greatest agricultural crops, Florida has a soil that is extremely favorable to the raising of more than 60 different types of vegetables. These fruits and vegetables, which are raised at the time of the year when all other farmlands throughout the country are blanketed with snow, supply our northern markets with freshly ripened products throughout the entire winter. The eradication of mosquitoes is a problem which confronts practically every state in the Union, and Florida has taken the initiative to accomplish this task in an unusual way. By cross-sectioning the lowlands with a series of properly spaced ditches of sufficient depth to allow fish to enter and eat the mosquito larvae or eggs, they are rapidly succeeding in exterminating this insect. These control areas present a symmetrical pattern when viewed from the air. And speaking of vegetables, who would ever have guessed that this extensive tract pictured here is devoted exclusively to the raising of cabbage? This common vegetable attains tremendous size in Florida's rich soil and is but one of the many marketable products that the Sunshine State produces in great abundance throughout the entire year. Stuart, the eastern terminus of the Gulf Okeechobee Atlantic Canal, is noted for its splendid fishing. Situated as it is on the Indian River and practically surrounded by the St. Lucie with its inlet to the ocean, this little town offers good fishing of every type to lovers of the sport. Apartments, attractively furnished and all ready for the visitor to call home, are conveniently located throughout the state. The France, in Stuart, is one of the most noteworthy in this section and provides all of the style and comforts one would desire from a home, not to mention its beautiful view of the W.H. Shepherd Estate and St. Lucie River. Here in Stuart, one may also see the modern plant of the Stuart Marine Service, which is the largest of its kind in the state. Boats and fine yachts of every description are housed and serviced here by experts, thereby providing this city with one of the most important inland waterway filling stations on the coast. Just a few miles southeast of Stuart at Port Sewell, we fly across the exotic vista of Sunrise Inn. Directly opposite the St. Lucie Inlet and with a splendid view of the river, canal, and ocean, this favorite winter resort is truly a spot of beauty. Yachting, fishing, and bathing are the sports of the hour at this attractive and conveniently located inn. There is no one spot in Florida that has a more interesting historical background than Jupiter Isle. And since the early date when 12,000 acres of this island were granted to Esquivo Gomez by the Spanish governor in return for services rendered the King of Spain, the history of this land has been a shifting prelude of drama and romance. But today, Jupiter Isle at Hope Sound is one of the most complete developments of exclusive homes and estates in Florida. Everything desirable in the location for a home is provided by the beauty and privacy of Hope Sound. The ocean, with its fine beach, clubhouses, and individual cabanas, the colony's private golf club and recreational center, and the splendid yacht basin and intercoastal waterway all combine with the perfect setting and natural beauty of Jupiter Isle to make this one of Florida's outstanding residential colonies. Renowned the world over, these two famous resort cities need no introduction. For generations, Palm Beach has been the winter playground of the social elite, and West Palm Beach, more democratic, has attracted thousands of winter visitors from all sections of the nation. Now West Palm Beach is fast becoming recognized as a delightful summer vacation spot because of its equitable year-round climate. All that Florida has to offer in the way of healthful sunshine, outdoor sports, scenic beauty, entertainment, and ideal conditions for year-round residents will be found in the truest form in this area. And as our plane glides into the new Palm Beach County Airport, we seem to sense the distinctive atmosphere that characterizes the Palm Beaches. This is Florida. There are few sports in the world more fascinating or thrilling than that of hooking, fighting, and landing a sailfish. These wary battlers, ranging from 6 to more than 8 feet long, are considered the smartest inhabitants of the deep, and while little is known of their origin, their fighting ability is world famed. The Silver Sailfish Derby, with its thousands of dollars in trophies, annually attracts hundreds of real sportsmen between late January and mid-February. The unusual photograph at the left shows a bit of realism as Captain M.A. Bishop's chartered cruiser Amberjack of West Palm Beach during a 50-minute battle with a sail. Although some are taken for mounting, the majority of sailfish are returned to the sea unless injured, the sportsman merely borrowing a few moments of the gallant fighter's time. Because sails are found in great numbers just off the port of Palm Beach, some having been taken inside the jetties, this is considered the greatest of Florida's sailfish grounds, an average of more than 3,000 being hooked each year. Fishermen are at the grounds within 5 minutes after leaving the dock. Dryland anglers may have equally exciting times fishing from Palm Beach Pier. From the inlet jetties, tidewater banks, and in numerous freshwater lakes near West Palm Beach. The West Palm Beach Fishing Club, with its derby, winter and summer contests, and gold buttons for 8-foot sailfish, is one of the outstanding organizations in these two resort cities. No single city of its size in America has more magnificent estates than Palm Beach. Here are the winter residences of those who have made and are making the business, political, and social history of the nation. Chosen for its natural beauty, its climate, its proximity to the Gulf Stream, its wide beaches when Henry Flagler was pioneering Florida, Palm Beach has never been threatened as America's premier winter resort. The estate at the right, with its vista of both ocean and lake, hundreds of acres of cultivated subtropical growth, is a typical of Palm Beach. West Palm Beach's indescribable shoreline along Lake Worth typifies the landscaping and architectural beauty so characteristic of the whole community. This democratic business and resort city, with a permanent population of nearly 30,000, plays host to more than 20,000 guests each winter. Thousands upon thousands of graceful palms, gaily colored tropical shrubs, and flowers line the streets and boulevards. Miles of lakefront drives and many acres of new parks have been beautified. West Palm Beach offers all of the usual sports and entertainment to be found anywhere in Florida and retains an atmosphere of friendliness towards visitors from all sections. The regal splendor and dignity of modern Palm Beach is typified by this striking picture of the central hotel section of the town. The widely known Breakers Hotel in the foreground and the Palm Beach Golf Club just west are surrounded by the other resort hotels including Whitehall, the Palm Beach Biltmore, and the New Palm Beach. Cultured beauty of every type may be found in this portion of Palm Beach. Keeping pace with varied demands of educational institutions in all sections of the country, Palm Beach County schools have consistently maintained a high standard of efficiency in all grades. Despite steadily increasing enrollments, the physical plants have been expanded to meet requirements and no tuition charges have ever been necessary for children of seasonal visitors. Parks and playgrounds adequately supervised are provided in all parts of both Palm Beach and West Palm Beach for children of all ages. The Central School Group in West Palm Beach includes grades, junior and senior high schools. Numerous exclusive beach and golf clubs, similar to the famous bath and tennis clubs shown at the left, are part and parcel of the Palm Beach winter scene. Society gathers for its daily sun tanning, tennis, ocean and pool bathing, its afternoon teas, evening dancing parties at these clubs. It is at such gay spots that the many charity events of the winter season are held. It is here that America's summer styles are set during the preceding winter, where the wealth and culture of the nation are assembled each season. Of commercial importance to the Everglades and the lower east coast of Florida is the port of Palm Beach, where winter vegetables are shipped to the markets of the Atlantic seaboard. Constantly being deepened and improved, the port is expected soon to provide regular coastal passenger service, typified by the vessel shown at the right as it passes close to the shore inside the Gulf Stream current, just off the beach at Palm Beach. Lake Worth, south of and directly adjoining the Palm Beaches, has one of the most attractive municipal casinos to be found on the East Coast. Here, every day throughout the year, one will see hundreds of bathers, yachtsmen, and fishermen enjoying the sports provided by the Azure Atlantic. This particular section of Florida is polo-minded, and the two fields of the exclusive Gulfstream Country Club are enthusiastically attended during the season's games. The country's finest players and ponies may be seen in action here each winter. The architectural beauty of any home is greatly enhanced by the landscaping around it, and the profusion of natural trees and plants which seemingly grow overnight in the tropics accounts for the attractiveness of the majority of Florida's homes and estates. While the design and style of these buildings may show the influence of every nationality and period, the ultimate appearance will be characteristically and typically Floridian. Flying down the East Coast from Jacksonville to Miami, we can look out at most any time and spot one of Florida East Coast Railway's crack trains speeding along the straight double-tracked ribbons of steel that stretch out ahead of us to serve the many towns along the coast. Most of the lighthouses to be found along our seacoast are now automatically controlled, but the stories of their human sacrifices and heroism connected with their earlier existences continue to stir our imaginations as we encounter them on our flight. The palatial and exclusive Boca Raton Club is probably the most beautiful club in the world. The 650-room clubhouse enjoys an unusual setting among thousands of palms and many colorful tropical gardens. 2 well-designed 18-hole golf courses, a 9-hole pitch and putt course, tennis courts, 3 seawater swimming pools, an extensive cabana colony on the ocean, and many other features make the club complete in every detail. The airport at Boca Raton is conveniently located on high ground 1.5 miles northwest of the clubhouse. There are many interesting stories and facts of history connected with this famous old city. Stories that begin with the establishment of Fort Lauderdale as an Indian trading post nearly 100 years ago, and which carry on through the Seminole Indian War days, telling of massacres, hardships, and deeds of heroism that are the heritage of this modern present-day city. Very few hotels in the world can boast the ideal location and alluring surroundings that are the natural heritage of the Hollywood beach. But a few miles from the heart of Miami, this compelling resort is a city within itself. Its unusual beach, boardwalks, terraces, solariums, and exclusive shops make it one of Florida's most modern and finest hotels. This is one of the few towns along the east coast of Florida that is situated directly on the ocean with no causeway to cross. Hence the original name of Hollywood by the Sea. Designed during the Florida boom, this town was laid out to be the perfect city, and the influence of its creators is still apparent in the symmetrical pattern of the streets as seen from the air. The Magic City, with its environs of Miami Beach, Coral Gables, Hialeah, and Miami Springs, is all that the name implies. Its growth since the beginning as a trading post about 1836 has been phenomenal, and while its population totaled less than 30,000 in 1920, the 1930 census showed 110,000 people within the city, and more than 135,000 in the greater Miami area. In recent years, people from all parts of the world have come to realize the view of Florida's health-giving climate, the glory of her sunshine and outdoor sports, and the many advantages offered by her rich soils and natural resources. And Miami, because of her geographic location, her ideal climate, and her enterprise, has attracted additional thousands into her portals annually, with the result that she is today the outstanding resort city in the world. We only need to glance at the crowds found on her beach on any winter afternoon to convince us of her popularity. The combination of symmetry, lovely natural and cultivated landscaping, exclusive atmosphere, private beach, and evidenced activity at the Pan Coast immediately attracts our attention as we fly over Miami Beach. And from our advantageous position, we can well appreciate the lure of the setting, and we see how this hotel has earned its reputation of actual refinement and individuality. Miami Beach has its own civic government and is located on the peninsula, separated from Miami on the west by the emerald waters of Biscayne Bay and bounded on the east by the azure blue of the Atlantic Ocean. Completely surrounded by water, this fair city is truly a tropical paradise. Aircraft of every description may be seen in Miami skies throughout the day or night, and we pass many kindred ships as we arrive over the Magic City. Miami has 9 recognized airports which handle the heavy air traffic that concentrates on this area each year. Here we salute one of Goodyear's blimps as it sails past with its cargo of sightseeing passengers. Towering far above the surrounding buildings along the North Beach, the Rooney Plaza stands as a stately monument to the gods of vacation, healthful recreation, carefree happiness, and the pleasure of living. Here we find every convenience and luxuriant comfort that Florida's vacation land has to offer. Our first view of Miami is an impressive one, and as our big Eastern Airlines Douglas arrives over the city, we sense the greatness of the tropical metropolis that offers a rare combination of every opportunity, racket, diversion, and enterprise known to man. One of the most famous and undoubtedly the most beautiful racetracks in the world is Hialeah. The annual meets held here each winter draw many thousands of visitors to Miami. The view looking out across Bayfront Park with its stately palms and flower gardens on across the bustling yacht basin to Biscayne Bay and finally out to the ocean itself is a picture one can never forget. The Alcazar offers the visitor all of this beauty plus the convenience of downtown location. Nearly everyone has seen a movie newsreel at some time or another that portrayed an international swimming meet, a fashion show, golf match, or convention at the renowned Miami Biltmore. Here we can look down into the heart of this famous resort and well imagine ourselves as taking an active part in the variety of winter sports that are constantly going on within and around it. Located in Coral Gables, this is one of the world's most renowned resorts. It is with the greatest reluctance that we finish our flight down the beautiful east coast of Florida and leave our comfortable Eastern Airlines plane at Miami's 36th Street Airport. This famous terminal is but one of 9 splendid landing fields located in the greater Miami area. The Naval Reserve Air Station, the Navy Dirigible Base, Miami Municipal Airport, Viking Field, and Chapman Field are other splendid ports at which extensive aeronautical activities are carried on constantly. Miami, aerial gateway between the Americas, is one of the focal points for the most extensive network of airlines in the world. And from this modern city of today, we can, within a brief space of a few hours, step back into the ancient cities of yesterday. Cuba, Haiti, Puerto Rico, the Isles of the Caribbean and the Spanish Main, and the romantic countries of Central and South America are all within the immediate reach through the vast international network of Pan American Airways. The magnificent Pan American International Marine Base attracts thousands of visitors daily. The awe-inspiring sight of these giant clipper ships arriving from and leaving for distant lands to the south fires the imagination of the most casual observer. More than 35,000 passengers annually pass through this port alone, and these huge observation cars of the sky bring the ports of the Western Hemisphere safely and comfortably to within a few hours of our own door. And while space does not permit a pictorial flight to these neighboring lands, we can pause on our trip around Florida long enough to visit this international base, and wish that we too might try our wings over the worlds of yesterday. So that's the first half of this fascinating book. I'll be releasing the second half soon. I love being able to create this type of video for you. To me, it's a part of history that's often forgotten, but speaks to much more than what Florida looked like. It's a form of time travel. A book like this gives us a glimpse at what people thought was important to show to their contemporaries. It's an elaborate advertisement for Eastern Airlines, the Aero-Graphics Corporation, and the many resorts and products featured, as well as Florida itself. In 1936, the U.S. and indeed the world was in the midst of a Great Depression, and World War II would start only 3 years later. Still, this book shares a major note of optimism that wouldn't really hit the States until after the war, when Florida's golden era of tourism began. Thank you for watching another of my videos. I hope you enjoyed it. If you learned something, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to learn more about Florida's tourism history. Stingray Tom's Florida, traveling through time around the Sunshine State.